Hey, what up, you guys? It's February the 21st, 2015. I'm back for the third day in a row, I believe. Pretty proud of myself. Allotted enough time to be able to do it. Um, I don't have too much time to get into all the news that's circulating and everything. I'm just going to mention a few things real quick. John Williams, who apparently is a world famous economist, uh, recently just said uh, and warned to look out for hyperinflation in 2015, which is what I've been saying, although I'm not an economist. That's what I have been saying for a couple of years now. Watch out for 2015, like 2014, the slingshot doing this, and 2015 is when you let it go. Well, that's pretty much what's happening. Look out for that. I mean, the reason I bring that up is because I've had many conversations with people about how they believe that this sort of thing is going to happen. It's going to take 50 years. It's going to take 200 years or some. I've heard the word 200 years. No, it's happening this year. It's happening this year and next year. Um, it's going to be real quick. So please stay tuned for that. But really, what I wanted to talk about real quick, and it's not as pressing as it was. It's actually a little while back now. Is the NFL and namely the playoffs and how it's a fantasy. Anyways, like for instance, I remember when I was a little kid, I was very into professional wrestling. I thought it was wonderful. I watched it all the time. I remember this one day, my older brother and my father uh, came out and told me they were like, this isn't real. These people really aren't doing this. It's kind of like staged. They figure out who the winners are beforehand and all that. And, at the time I was just kind of dumbfounded. I really couldn't believe it. I was like, but it looks so real. And even if it's not real, I just want to watch it because it's awesome type stuff. That's what I remember when I was a kid. All right, the NFL is the exact same thing, and that's why. And people don't want to believe it. I know exactly how you feel. Trust me, I've been through the same thing. You do not want to believe that the NFL is not real. It's not a real thing. That it isn't. I mean, it's a real thing, but it isn't what you think it is. Thing is, I boycotted the NFL already this past season. Didn't really watch any of it. Didn't really talk about any of it. Didn't really care about any of it. Pretty much because of their political standpoints. I've had conversations with people who tell me. I mean, they always advocate. They're always like, I don't care about politics. I don't want to know about politics. I don't want to know about the world. I don't want to know about if I'm getting raped or if my children are getting raped. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And I just want to watch football. And it's like, well, that's cool. I mean, see, that's all right. See a problem with that. But the thing is, when the NFL, people in the NFL start saying political views and social views and things like that, start teaming up with people like Janet Napolitano, I really can't help but um, see a problem in there. So I boycotted the NFL anyways, already this past year. But anyways, um, just from the news because you can't walk around and not hear about the NFL. It doesn't matter if you watch it or don't. You're gonna hear about it, and you're gonna basically know what's happening in it, whether or not you want to. So that's what happened to me this year. And from the video clips and the things that I've seen, and all the outcomes over the entire NFL playoffs, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that every single game was rigged to an extent in order to make certain outcomes happen. And in my opinion, probably so that certain demographics would play out and it would placate the country a little bit better. I.e., the Patriots win again. The Patriots. But anyway, like I said, it's a fantasy. I mean, I actually did catch the last 5 minutes of the Super Bowl game, that Seahawks Patriots game. Let me tell you, Out of that 5 minutes, if I were to write a script, I swear if I were to try to write a script on the most exciting Super Bowl game ever, it probably wouldn't have been as good as that, as what I've seen in the last 5 minutes of that game. Meanwhile, at the very end, well, I mean, gambling is a huge part of this, but bets are going on and stuff, and people are already celebrating at the very end. The dude throws it away on purpose. I don't even want to hear anything else. He threw it right at the other person, and he caught it, and bam, game over. My personal story is I was at my little brother's house, and there was a lot of people there. They were for each side, and they were yelling and screaming at each other. I was just sitting there calm. They were yelling and screaming at each other about who's better, what, like who's bigger, more muscular. And when the dude threw that ball to the other person on the other team for no reason, he shouldn't have never done that. Uh, I mean, people got so upset. I saw teary eyes. I saw glossy eyes, eyeballs from people who were just screaming in other people's faces. So that's kind of weird. You can see the weirdness that's going on in households during the NFL playoff game. Anyway, it was completely rigged. It was absolutely rigged. I couldn't have written a better script. So there you go. As of 2015, know that you're watching professional wrestling. I mean, when you think about the NFL, it didn't used to always even have the playoffs. Didn't have the playoffs, which meant that every single game was very important because the team with the best record at the end of the season, guess what? They're the champions. But no, not in this one because it has to be in such a way that's so rigged that it keeps your attention to the very last minute and keeps you spending money and keeps you spending money to the very last minute because only that game is important. That's the most important game, not every single game. So, there's no, I mean, I'm sorry to have to break it to you, but you have a grown man, muscular, butt slapping fantasy that you're playing out that's very much like professional wrestling. And you might have to start getting over it, or maybe you already turned this video off. I don't know. Anyways, this is February 21st, 2015. We'll get out of here. Go to work like I always do.